taking a look at Bitcoin's chart right off the bat, right into this action, notice Bitcoin had a nice bounce over the weekend. Now, this is the tricky thing. Bitcoin's volume was basically the lightest ever over the weekend, so do not let that fool you. I don't trust bounces when there's no volume behind it because, number one, it could be institutional manipulation or it could just be small investors buying it up, but you want that bigger volume. Otherwise, you don't get the volume, the point of control type stuff going on in this range, and I think that is very dangerous. So, yes, you had a bounce, but look at where the bounce went to.
Now, guess who keeps his eye on us? The author of best-selling book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. And we want to take this opportunity and thank all the people who trusted us, and we read every comment. And the best part, it's free. Subscribing now means you will get all new information for free. Don't just follow the trends, stay ahead of them. Subscribe to Bitcoin Zealot today and enjoy the new edge. Let's join Gareth in this video about Bitcoin and more.
See this channel right here? So you have this high here to here. This is a channel that I've followed for quite some time. Right through here, you broke above it and you hit it here, 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 and here. You broke back below, and now we're right back into that level. So it's a nice bounce on Bitcoin, but be very skeptical, at least in the short term here. Let's see if we can get some more volume behind it, and you got to break above this level and confirm again. You break above the level and confirm, maybe it can get some legs. Maybe we can start moving up towards this upper band right up here on the chart. Now, notice on the downside where this went to, right? So we had the rollover. We have a trend line going back here through this area right here, through this low right here, right to that low there. And then there's a secondary trend line here, which actually was the wick, or I should say the tail low right down there. This right now is the big support, basically around 60, 59, 58 to 60,000. As long as that holds, again, we're getting squeezed within this little zone. If we break lower, 56.5 is your key technical level. And then the big level for me, if it ever gets back to here, this 50,000 range, that is a huge level. It's also a Fibonacci retrace level. So watch that very, very closely. All right. So right now, we're kind of just waiting to see. I would still have, at this point, I'd probably have a slight negative bias, but not heavy negative bias on Bitcoin, as again, it is holding this area right here, and it's not above this zone with confirmation just yet. Ethereum, let's look at Ethereum real quick. Small bounce over the weekend as well. Lots of technical support right here. Notice again, this is kind of where it held. And then we have this upsloping trend line. And I want to show you where this trend line comes from because this is a very interesting level for me as a pivot point. Now, what do I mean by a pivot point? Pivot point means that as long as you stay above this line, so here we go right here. Let me bring up this here. So as long as we stay above this point, right, then I would say in general, neutral to positive bias on Ethereum, meaning that if it comes down here and holds, you can actually buy it for maybe a move up. But if it were to confirm below this level here, then you have to start to get a little bit nervous because, again, this I would consider a long-term uptrend line, uptrend being the key word, right? So uptrend line here, if we start trading below this, you could actually dump out. First target would be about 2,800 right here, this low. It actually could go even lower. So when we look at pivot major trend lines, we want to see price stay above to remain bullish, but if they go below, it basically opens up that trap door that things can slide below there. Next up, gold. Gold having basically a flat day today, was up a little earlier. Notice again, we had the bear flag pattern here. It broke down, and notice how it's struggling to get back above that line. Remain negative on gold with a retest of this line likely, and then if this line breaks, this line would be your next level at around 2,200 or so. But I would remain right now bearish on gold in the near term. Don't forget, jobs data this week will influence gold because it's going to influence the U.S. dollar.
Bitcoin hints at a bull market resurgence as it secures $60,000 support during the weekly, monthly, and quarterly close. Key metrics and market movements suggest potential bullish momentum. Bitcoin starts Q3 2024 with a promising move above $60,000. The combined weekly, monthly, and quarterly close at $62,500 shows resilience. BTC/UST hit local highs of $63,724, but has yet to secure a decisive bull market return. Bitcoin's price maintained the crucial $60,000 support level. However, significant resistance lies at $64,000, where multiple trend lines converge. Traders are cautious, looking for a close above the 21-week moving average to confirm a bullish trend. Upcoming U.S. unemployment data and comments from Fed Chair Jerome Powell are expected to influence market volatility. Powell's speech on July 2 and the release of Fed meeting minutes on July 3 will be closely watched. Bitcoin miners continue to struggle post-halving, with a forecasted 5% drop in network difficulty. The hash ribbons metric indicates miner capitulation, but decreased miner selling suggests a potential turnaround in profitability. The Crypto Fear and Greed Index has moved towards greed, reflecting improved market sentiment. Bitcoin's Relative Strength Index, RSI, at 36 suggests it is oversold, indicating a potential bounce.
The S&P 500 here, pre-market, very little action. Volume is very, very light. Okay, so number one, this is kind of where we ended the day on Friday. We did see a sell-off on Friday where the markets kind of took to the downside. Remember, Friday morning, we had that early morning pop, and then it was sell-off the rest of the day. Not a big down day, but it was end of quarter, so there was probably some positions being closed out, put some pressure on the markets. And today, again, we're flat to positive across the board. We are seeing NVIDIA down slightly. Was down over $2 earlier this morning, but it's now barely negative, just down about 50 cents. Now, before we get into other charts, I do want to quickly go to some macro Monday action. On the homepage, there's tons of economic data, by the way. Also, you have verified pro stocks and ETFs charts and crypto charts, all the latest Bitcoin and Ethereum charting action here, technical analysis on the NASDAQ 100 and bank ETFs as well. But what I want to show you today is some alarming stats that I've been going over. So, number one, this one I wrote about, guys, and this is just really heartbreaking in many, many ways. And we hear about how the economy keeps adding jobs, how the economy is still going along at a good pace, how the Fed is saying, hey, listen, things are still good, inflation is still high. And I agree with that. Inflation is still high. But look at this headline. 401k plans saw a 40% increase in hardship withdrawals just in the last year. And by the way, since 2021, it's up 100%. Now, a hardship withdrawal basically is where you're allowed to take money out of your retirement plan for specific reasons. A majority of this, of what we saw, was for housing, to basically stave off foreclosure, which is even more astounding because we've been told, oh, no one's going to have trouble with their homes. They've all locked in rates at 3%. But then obviously there's still issues here paying the mortgage, right? And I think that's something we have to be aware of, is that the underbelly of the economy is rotting, folks. And again, I don't mean this that it's not still good in many, many cases. If you're invested in the market on the long side, you're doing very, very well. If you don't have investments, you're in a lot of trouble, or if the investments are on the low end. The economy on the underbelly, again, is not good, folks. And this stat right here is something that should alarm us all. Now, how long can we keep going and keep the economy marching along? Well, just ask the AI stocks. As long as those stocks stay positive and keep going up, I think it cushions the market where enough of the wealthy out there with those investments will continue to keep spending, and that'll keep the economy going at least at a small growth rate. But again, all those people on the lower, let's say 50%, continue to struggle.
Bloomberg's senior ETF analyst, Eric Balchunas, revises his prediction for the launch of spot Ethereum ETF due to delays in the SEC's review process during the holiday week. The SEC's approval of 19 BITS4 filings for 8 Ethereum ETF in May still requires the S1 registration statement's approval. Eric Balchunas shared on social media platform X that the SEC's review process for the S1 registration statements of spot Ethereum ETF is experiencing delays due to the 4th of July holiday week. The SEC requires minor tweaks from issuers, but responses have been slower than expected. Initially predicting a July 2 launch, Balchunas now expects the SEC to resume its review process on July 8. Consequently, he anticipates that spot Ethereum ETF will launch shortly after this date. The SEC approved the 19 BITS4 filings for 8 Ethereum ETF in May, marking a significant step forward. SEC Chair Gary Gensler testified before the U.S. Senate Appropriations Subcommittee on Financial Services, stating that spot Ethereum ETF are expected to launch this summer and that the review process is moving smoothly. Besides Ethereum ETF, asset managers VanEck and 21 Shares have filed registration statements with the SEC to launch spot Solana ETF, indicating growing interest and developments in cryptocurrency ETF. If you've been with us so far, a big thank you. Don't forget to subscribe for free to Bitcoin Zella for your daily news. The link is waiting below. That's all for today's crypto news. Stick around for more updates, insights, and analysis on cryptocurrencies. Share your thoughts in the comments, like this video, and subscribe for more exciting content.